We're going to do top 5 most confusing players 4 days before the NFL season kicks off. Still lots of drafts, lots of auctions. Mo, who is your first or your least most confusing player on your list?
Okay, yeah. So what I did, these are 5 guys that I honestly don't know what to do if they fall to me, if I'm in the position to draft them exactly where they are. And I'm going to do this. Number 5 on my list is the lowest drafted among them. Number 1 will be the highest drafted. Number 5, I have Ronald Jones II, because it has been all bad news all preseason for him. This guy is having such a tough time. And it's possible that he's just he's not good. And it's a terrible franchise. And the whole thing is a mess. And he should just avoid it. It's also possible that he's just like a 22-year-old guy, struggling to get acclimated to his first month on the job. And in October, he'll be fine, And in which case, great, rookie running back with a line on a job. And it's like Peyton Barber is a solid player, but like Tampa's probably not going to be so good that for Peyton Barber to establish the number 1 job, the Bucs would have to be good, partly because of Peyton Barber. I don't think he's that good, right? So if Joe, so basically what you're left with though, but where he's going, it's like Ronald Jones, you're either left with a guy who, yeah, maybe you're buying low on a rookie running back with a chance at a job, or maybe one of your draft picks that doesn't work out that you cut bait on early, you're just reaching 2-3 rounds for that guy. So who knows?
I mean, he's confusing. I don't know if you can pull him up on ADP, but he's very confusing at his price.
I have ADP actually. He is 121 overall, running back 43.
Yeah.
So he's in between guys like Bilal Powell and CJ Anderson, guys who are like, they're fine. They're not going to not work out, but you're not going to give you much. Ronald Jones is somebody in that range who has a position to give you much, in theory. Or he might just be a guy who doesn't work out at all.
I would take the investment on Jones.
Yeah, I suppose, because if you're in a position like that and you're relying on that pick to like work for you, I don't know. You may have made a mistake earlier. I don't know.
He was so bad in preseason that like no one wants to touch him. But he was like a 4th round pick before preseason.
Yeah, man, he's radioactive now. I don't know. I don't understand it.
Tampa Bay is radioactive, man.
Yeah, I mean, I've been there. It might actually be.
It's awesome.
Love you, Tampa.
Like the Raiders of the NFC, no? They're kind of like mistakes and bad coaching and
staph infections.
Jesus. All right, so we'll do my first player. I guess. Okay, so I'm going to go with Greg Olsen. Actually, I
considered him.
Yeah, because I know he's had foot injuries, and he's still considered. Definitely confusing. He's like considered as a tight end 6, tight end 5, tight end.
I'm looking at ADP consensus, and he's tight end 4, 62nd overall.
Yeah, I would not feel comfortable drafting him as tight end 4. So maybe tight end 8. I mean, I would put Trey Burton over him. I would put Delaney Walker maybe even over him. Who else would you have over him, Mo?
Well, guys that are behind him on the screen in front of me that I would take ahead of him: Jimmy Graham, Evan Engram, Kyle Rudolph. Then there's kind of a drop off.
For injury, he's confusing, or because there's a lot of depth, a lot of targets in that offense now?
I mean, look, Greg Olsen's been a great player for a long time, and he has a reputation for like quietly being a near stud at tight end for his whole career. But he's at an age now where age is starting to be concerned anyway, and he's been coming off a major injury. And there's a lot of other people that it could be in Carolina. I'm not necessarily concerned about any one of them in particular, but just the fact that there's 8 guys who could just come out of nowhere and be decent contributors there. And I don't know. I just
what's his
I feel like
ADP?
What's that?
What's his ADP?
60. What did I say? 62 overall.
Yeah, it's the 5th round of a 12-team league.
I can't do that, man. That's all reputation.
Yeah, I can't do that. I'd rather take a bunch of.
I'd put him tight end 9. I'd put him behind all those guys that I mentioned. Yeah, that's a tough. That reputation is really.
He's not confusing because of respect.
A lot of respect.
I guess I'm confused by the people who do draft him there. So
I guess so. Me too.
Who else?
Give me a number 4 as well.
Yeah.
You want to give me your number 4 as well?
Sure. I got Kelvin Benjamin or a slash. Actually, you know what? I was going to say Kelvin Benjamin / Jordy Nelson.
Oh, okay.
Are both wide receiver 3s in the stages of their careers. So basically, they're only confusing to me because I have questions for you.
Okay.
Do they both have wide receiver 2 upside?
Benjamin, I'm pretty confident in saying he does. Jordy Nelson, I suppose he does.
Martavis Bryant is gone. They traded Ryan Switzer. So Jordy can be kind of a sneaky pick in a standard league right now.
I guess so, yeah. I guess, I mean, yeah. I guess the fact that, well, I don't know if the fact that Bryant getting hurt makes them more confident in Jordy. That just means they need him more, but if they need him that much and they're not worried about replacing him, then I guess he's still good. I guess he can still move and play, and he doesn't need to be Aaron Rodgers' guy. Like, sure.
Yeah, okay. Benjamin, I mean, even like when we watched that Cam Newton video, they're like arguing like on the sideline in the pregame. Yeah. Like he was limping. I don't know if you noticed. Like,
really,
he looked like he was even limping in the warm-ups. Like, I don't know how long he's gonna last this season. Like, I'm a little worried about him.
I mean, I don't know if he's any more of an injury risk, but like, I agree he's not great, but he's fine, and I know that he can be fine. I'm pretty confident that he probably will be fine. But that's all. I guess I'm settling for fine instead of taking a chance on Jordy. Maybe I shouldn't do that. That doesn't sound like me, does it?
Quick. Okay, so Benjamin or Kenny Golladay?
Golladay.
Benjamin or Chris Godwin?
Godwin.
As your wide receiver 3, and let's say if they're starting 3 receivers, you start 3 receivers. Still Godwin over Benjamin?
You guys are starting? Are these guys the starting range?
Yeah. Oh, I'm asking you. Would you start Benjamin? I mean, comfortably?
Yeah, in a 3-receiver league.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, in a 3-receiver league, I'd be happy with him there. Yeah.
Jordy or Benjamin?
I'll take Benjamin, I guess.
Okay.
Unless Jordy falls. If Jordy really falls, then sure. But so maybe what would happen is I might pass on Benjamin if I know that Jordy's still there. But yeah, I don't know.
All right. Well, give me your number 4, Mo.
All right. Sorry that was such a tough one for me. My number 4 is Alfred Morris, running back.
I like that. Are you confused by Alfred Morris?
Well, here's the thing. It's like, okay, so everyone had all these high hopes of Jerick McKinnon, and they started to die down over the course of the preseason anyway. And then there were questions about whether McKinnon would hold up. And then now he got hurt, which is unfortunate. And even though I've been sort of slagging his fantasy potential, still feel for the man, and I wish him well. But now that all the original level of enthusiasm has suddenly been transferred onto Alfred Morris, you know? And it's like, yeah, now he's a guy who can play, and, you know, he has the job and all that. But it's also like, it's Alfred Morris. Like, it's how excited can we get, right? Like, even as not to knock him. So, like, let me ask you, Alfred Morris, or who would you rather take a chance on in their situation right now, Alfred Morris or Adrian Peterson?
That's terrible. I'd rather take a shot at Morris.
Yeah? Why?
Why? Because I feel that Peterson's going to break down faster. That's all. I know more. I don't know if there's any merit to the fact that Morris used to play with Kyle, under Kyle Shanahan.
Okay. But you think Morris has more left in the tank? Yeah,
I do. Adrian Peterson will play football until he's 100, dude. He just doesn't know that he shouldn't.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, yeah, that's okay. Fair enough. I don't know. I wonder if he's going right now RB 33. And that's probably a little bit underreported, because I'm sure this takes into account early drafts when he was around and available but not being drafted, right? So if he's going as RB 33, that really means he's going as like RB 30, 31, and that's tough. That means someone's going to draft him as their starting running back. Are you comfortable drafting Alfred Morris as your second running back?
No, not at all. But no? I'd be more comfortable waiting and drafting Breida.
Okay. Yeah. So I guess the point, though, is like, okay, fair enough.
He's going to have some sort of influential value this year at some point.
Yeah. So would you draft Alfred Morris as your third running back?
No.
No. Okay. So that means you think
very happy as an RB4. which means I won't get him. But
yeah, no, there you go. So he's going as an RB 2-3 border.
Yeah,
and that's ambitious for a guy he's been solid. He's had solid, 1,000-yard rushing type seasons before.
Yeah, I'm aware. I can't do that.
All right,
I'd rather spend that kind of draft capital on a young, receiver. Or I'd rather wait. I'd even rather look.
A guy that you don't already know cannot reach fantasy heights. You know that Morris at best can be okay.
Not Greg Olsen at that spot.
Yeah, there you go. That's where you dig him. All right, so that was my 4. Can I give you my 3 as well?
Give me your 3.
So mine is also a bit of a combo, and it is basically just Philadelphia wide receivers. So right now, Alshon Jeffery, who's hurt to start the year, he's going. Where did I have? I'm sorry, I lost him. Give me 1 second, guys.
Going at DNP.
Yeah, he's going DNP exactly. But yeah, he's going wide receiver 35, and then Nelson Agholor is going just behind him. Not just behind him, but like down in like wide receiver 38 range, right? So you basically have a choice. Do you want to have which Philadelphia wide receiver would you rather have? The healthy one who is pretty good, but he's definitely healthy to start the year, or the guy who you think of as a better wide receiver, but you have to wait a couple weeks for him and take a chance on his injury issues?
I think I'd rather Agholor, because I think Wallace is the stretcher right now. I think he's one guy, and I think Agholor, I don't want to say he's mature enough, but I think he's running more routes now, like routes. I think he's doing some middle of the line shit. He's 5 yards down, 10 yards down, 15 yards down. Mm-hmm. And I think he obviously has some pretty good blazing speed. I'd rather have Agholor. Okay, fair enough. So, yeah, I mean, Jeffrey's a confusing one. And Philadelphia's team in general is just confusing because you have literally, it's like you have 2 whole fantasy teams. You can make 2 fantasy rosters out of Eagles players. You know what I mean? They have so many guys that are somewhat relevant as fantasy players. And it's like, I don't know. They're a confusing team. Zach Ertz, too. I don't like him this year.
So let me ask you, how do you feel about Mike Wallace then as just like a wide receiver 4 on the end of your bench?
No?
You don't like Mike Wallace?
I don't want to draft any players this year, dude.
You don't want to draft any players? Or
I have my bench empty.
I don't want to play fantasy football now that it's here.
It's so funny. We're sitting here talking about Mike Wallace. It's like everyone has – I've listened to so many podcasts. Everyone has hyped up and crapped on every player in the NFL in the last few months. Like they're talking about pretty much, Ricky Seals-Jones. And he's definitely got some value. But Dallas Goedert and, Blake Jarwin and all these guys have been talked up huge games Mike Wallace. Yeah. This is why we should draft Mike Wallace.
So Mike Wallace right now is wide receiver 68, which means he would be a wide receiver 5 in my league.
Yeah.
How do you feel about him as a wide receiver 5 in a 16-man league?
No, I don't I don't think so. I wouldn't draft Mike Wallace. I think he'll have 2 really great games. I wouldn't even draft him for best ball.
Okay, coming down against Mike Wallace. I was asking you about Jeffery and Agholor, and you managed to take down Mike Wallace.
That's how I think about it.
All right. Number 3?
Yes. Okay. So Davonta Freeman, number 3. It's not that I'm confused by him. I know he's a great player. He's an RB1 on his own team and a great team, great offense. I'm a little worried about drafting him. I would be very scared drafting him as an RB1. Personally, I would rather take a receiver if there was an option there. But as an RB2, sure, he'd be great. But is he going to be great? I don't know. He's had a lot of concussion problems. He feels like he's how old, he's 26 or 27. I feel like he's a very old 26 or 27.
Well, he's entering his 4th year in the league. I can tell you that.
This is only his 4th, eh?
Yeah. And he's had he's had 2 great years and then 1 disappointing year only because it was held to the standard of his first 2 great years. So that's the thing. He's had 1 bad year last year, and people have forgotten who he was the past 2 years. But I don't know, man. It's
comfy as a wide receiver too, Mo? A running back too?
Running back too, for sure. If I could get Freeman as a running back too, but you can't. Somebody's gonna have to take a chance on him as their 1. and it's risky. So let me ask you this then. How do you feel about Tevin Coleman?
I like Tevin Coleman, but I'm not like whatever gaga over the guy. I think he's a good player. He's the backup running back right now. He's not even 1B in my opinion. He's like,
you don't think so? He's been an RB2 the last 2 years, even as a backup, and in only one of those 2 years was he in a historically good offense.
He's the Greg Olsen of RB2s.
How?
I know you live down there in Atlanta, but no one notices Tevin Coleman's production, dude.
I'm just wondering if you have doubts about Davonta Freeman, does that make Tevin Coleman more attractive where he's going?
I have doubts about Freeman at his price for some reason. Like I know he's RB12 or 13. I feel like I'd be more happy with him as running back 15, 16. I would take Jordan Howard.
Guys like Mixon and McCaffrey and all them?
Even Jordan Howard over Freeman.
Jordan Howard?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I think because Freeman's not a big dude.
Yeah.
I just have issues around him. That's all. That's all I'm saying.
Fair enough. Okay, so then are you down on the Falcons in general?
No, I think they'll be a good team. I'm a little worried about Freeman holding up. That's all.
Okay, so I don't understand then. Who's going to be great on the Falcons if Freeman and Coleman are at best?
Have a big year. I think Matt Ryan. I think the passing game's going to have a big year.
Yeah.
I think they're not that the running backs won't get theirs, but I think it's going to be a little more tilted in the Matt Ryan year again.
Do you think Calvin Ridley will be good?
Yeah, I do. I think he'll catch like 50 balls.
I don't know if you noticed, he was on my all-in players before.
I'm aware.
Okay, well, I'm glad that jives. All right. So that was your 3?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay, you want to give me your 2?
Well, what I could do is I'll give you my 2 and I'll give you my 1 because they're kind of connected a little bit.
Okay, so let me do my 2 and 1, and then we'll do your 2 and 1.
All right.
Okay, so that's perfect. So because mine are not connected, but my number 2 is running back Carlos Hyde of the Cleveland Browns. And the reason why, now I'm already all in on Nick Chubb, and I think that's a good bet, like as far as his potential versus where he's being drafted, right? But that doesn't change the fact that Carlos Hyde is. He's being drafted like late in the 5th round in most leagues, and he's a running back who is starting and healthy and has a job, and we know can be an RB1. And he's going all the way in the 5th round. And I don't know if I should be the one to say, hey, he's still an RB1, get him in the 5th round, or if I should be like, the odds are that he's just not going to work out and Chubb will, because that's the nature of fantasy football. Like, I don't know what to do. Is the answer to go out and get 2 running backs so that I'm sure that I don't have to decide whether or not to draft Carlos Hyde? Or what do you do?
That's tough because I think ADP is very fair. I think he's got a very fair ADP. I think he's a great football player, man. Obviously, he's shown his production. If I can get Hyde and Chubb, yeah, I would love that. I'd be very happy with that because I think the Browns are going to be up in some games this year. I think Hugh Jackson likes to stick to the run. I don't know. Yeah,
I guess so. I mean, they hope to have a lead at some point this year that they get to protect.
And if one of them do get hurt, I think you got a good low-end RB1 on your hands there.
Okay, so basically what you're saying is take the chance on Hyde as your RB2, but make sure to go get Chubb as well.
Yeah, I'm very comfortable with that, man, for sure. Yeah.
Okay, good. So then we'll go with my number 1, and I don't know how you can talk me into feeling comfortable about this guy, but it's Mike Evans. Mike Evans is my fantasy football bugaboo. I never seem to like him, but he always seems to end up going exactly where he should. Right now, he's going as wide receiver 9, who, by the way, he's going in a category among other guys who I feel confusing about. Guys like AJ Green, never excited to have him. T.Y. Hilton, depending on Andrew Luck's health. But the reason why I didn't put those guys on this list and I put Evans on this list is because I'm sure those guys are good. And Evans himself struggles in a way that makes me doubt him sometimes. So even in a bad situation, but the thing is, he's going exactly where he should be. He is a wide receiver 9. So do I need to make sure that I'm one of the first 8 guys to get a wide receiver? Is that the idea?
Yeah. I just because we've shown it. I've listened to podcasts. Evans is not an efficient receiver. He drops a lot of passes still.
Yeah.
Put it this way. I mean, Evans was a product of getting a lot of targets. He had 150, 160, 170 targets. he was, racking up high-end wide receiver one numbers.
Yeah.
He's clearly not going to do that unless a bunch of people get hurt. It used to be just him and Vincent Jackson. Remember that?
Yep, I do remember. Vincent Jackson was still relied upon too.
Sure, I think Evans can still finish with 9 touchdowns, probably 1,000 yards on maybe 75 balls.
Mm-hmm.
But that's who Mike Evans is. He's
I mean,
nice weeks, and then a bunch of 5 for 63s.
Yeah, it's tough, man. I don't know.
So I can see him finishing as wide receiver 15, kind of where he's going.
Yeah,
he's kind of going as wide receiver 10. So I don't see that. I can see a bunch of other players going over him.
Yeah, because the guys that are after him, guys like Diggs and Hill and stuff like that, like, yeah, I think I'd rather have one of them. I think if you're gonna get Evans, is the best situation to get Evans if it's like on a turn somewhere. So it's like, if let's say you draft early and you get some stud, let's say you get, or whatever, let's say you get Antonio Brown with your first round pick, and then you have a chance to get a running back with your second and Mike Evans, like kind of sneak him in. Like, is that like, when do you take Mike Evans? I'm saying.
Yeah, like you'll never get him as your fourth player. Like if you choose 2 running backs and already have a wide receiver 1, you'll never get him as a wide receiver 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I wouldn't feel great about having him as my wide receiver 1, I suppose.
Yeah.
So
then is the perfect. So do you go? So the person that drafts Mike Evans, are they also are they just someone who goes wide receiver?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. There you go. Okay, so if you're just able to go Brown and Evans or Beckham and Evans or whatever, that's what you should do. You think?
Yeah, I think so. I'm cool with that. And then hit some running backs.
Okay.
Not Alfred Morris.
Okay, so that's why I don't like Mike Evans, because it only makes sense to own him if you go wide receiver, which I never want to do.
You got to fall into Evans. That's the only way you get Evans is you fall into him. He falls. So. All right, so we'll do my 1 and 2. It's timely because they're both wide receivers. They're around the Evans area. Maybe one's a little higher, one's a little lower.
Mm-hmm.
So it's Doug Baldwin / Josh Gordon, your favorite player.
Okay.
This is why the question is, why are they my most confusing? Is why are the experts still super high on Doug Baldwin?
Yeah, they're just not worried about him, right? They're not worried about his injury concerns.
So we use Fantasy Pros because we get a lot of expert consensus. I don't know if you have Fantasy Pros in front of you, Mo. Do you have ADP calculator? What do you have?
I have ADP calculator right now.
So if you can cruise over to Fantasy Pros, I'm guessing Baldwin is like wide receiver 11, 12?
He is. I can tell you right now. He is.
Like, why is he so high still? Because clearly he's not 100%. And a lot of smart fantasy players don't draft players that are hurt like Baldwin. I feel like he should have slipped a little bit more in expert consensus. Clearly, the experts are still very bullish on him. If he 12 targets a game, 13 targets a game, there's a good chance he's going to break down faster. No?
Yeah, I wonder, man. I feel like if he's hurt and he's battling injuries, that's tough, because when he's healthy and when he's playing, I feel like they're going to need him a lot, which means they're going to be really like relying on him. And I don't know if he'll be up to it. Right now, I see him here. He's going at wide receiver 15, which is a little bit, He slipping. He slipped down. He slipped behind Amari Cooper, Adam Thielen, and he's still ahead of guys like Larry Fitzgerald, Juju Smith-Schuster, Jarvis Landry, Brandon. So, okay, Doug Baldwin has slipped behind Amari Cooper, and now he's the head of that class of just blah starting.
Juju, Landry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So okay. Baldwin is one of those guys, or do you see Baldwin as one of the tail end of a really good wide receiver?
I just can't get comfortable drafting Doug Baldwin right now. I just can't, because he plays in the West Coast. So look, if Doug Baldwin was playing on the Cleveland Browns or in the Atlanta Falcons, I don't want to deal with the 4 p.m. headache living on the East Coast here. I don't want to deal with I got to pick someone else up. I got to wait around. All my wide receivers have already played. Now I got to pick someone up because I'm waiting around for Baldwin, who's going to be questionable every week.
That sounded crazy when you first brought it up, but that actually makes a lot of sense. And just like how I've been talking about, like, that like, petty family squabble with my brother in trade talks. This is just a lifestyle thing. You're like, I don't want to worry about my wide receiver at 4 p.m. That's great. That's a great way to play fantasy football. I don't want the headache.
You can't, because then you're going to have to replace him with, unless you draft Lockett or Jerron Brown, or you're going to waste pickups every week trying to fill in for Baldwin.
I don't want to plan now to have to waste time sifting through Seattle wide receivers.
Or 8:30 Sunday Night Football or Monday Night Football receivers.
I'm not that high on Seattle, man. I feel like I don't know what's going to happen. Somehow Russell Wilson's going to throw over 4,000 yards, but nobody on Seattle is going to have 1,000 yards receiving.
Yeah. So I just can't get around it. So I guess I was confused by why the experts have him so high. So
he's slipping now, but
okay. So in relation to the last player, Josh Gordon, my question to you, why he's confusing to me, is I want to ask you right now, how many targets do you think Gordon's going to get this year?
That's a good question.
Over 110 targets?
110 might be the line. I was going to say something like Tyreek Hill's 105 last year.
Okay, that's a good number. So Tyreek had 105 last year.
105, 110, something like that, yeah.
I actually consider Gordon to be less of a risk than Baldwin, to be honest, for these reasons. Mm-hmm. Plays on the East Coast, so he's less of a stress case. Something happens to him, he's either going to play or he's not going to play at all. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, Baldwin's going to play, but he's not 100%, so you're not getting I'd rather get a healthy Josh Gordon for 11, 12 games than an 80% Baldwin for 15.
Yeah. I'm a big Gordon fan, but the one thing that really helps right now is you're not worried about his health.
Not really. He has a hamstring thing, but I think he's going to be okay.
Yeah. So you're just like, okay, I hope this fully intact guy who's playing can be as great as I've seen him be before, versus Baldwin, which is like, I hope the tape that's holding him together stays.
So 110 targets on Josh Gordon. That's what, top 20 in the NFL for targets?
Maybe 20, maybe 24. I don't know offhand, but like that's reasonable without being a lot. I think it's not getting carried away.
So is he worthy of drafting over Doug Baldwin?
I mean, so Baldwin when healthy is gonna catch a lot more balls, right? Like if you're in a PPR league and you have them both and they're both healthy, you probably want Baldwin over Gordon, right? Yeah. Unless Gordon was having an epic year kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I mean, okay, so if I'm saying 105, 110 targets, and Gordon can get what, 75 catches out of that?
Yeah.
That's reasonable, right?
Okay, so I'll give you one great comparison right here.
Yeah.
Josh Gordon or Chris Hogan in a standard?
Josh Gordon.
Josh Gordon, straight up, not even a delay.
I don't care at all. New England wide receivers, man. They're all going to be good for 4 to 6 weeks in a row, and that's it.
Are you down on Chris Hogan this year?
What's that?
You down on Chris Hogan a little bit?
Well, because the problem is people are drafting Chris Hogan as if he's going to be in their lineup for all season. He's not. He's going to be in your lineup for they all just pop up for 4 games at a time.
Oh, okay. So you're not drafting Hogan in any –
No, man. New England players, they just take turns for 4-week stretches. They each just for a month. They just take turns featuring as the best player of the month. That's it.
Yeah, I'm not super high on Hogan, but I think he's going to be a little better off than you think he's going to be.
Probably. I just don't. Yeah, that's a headache that I don't want to deal with.
All right. Well, that's it, man. I think. Do you want to take us out?
Sure. I think just to put a pin on all this, I think what we've really demonstrated by all this is just that it's not that these players are confusing. We're just confused, and that's all right though, because that's how you feel this time of year, right? I got a lot of stress, man. I got 8 hours now. I got 8 hours to finalize my protected roster. I can't wait. I got trades to try to explore. So much fun.
This is great. You have so much downtime in your life, but this is really entertaining for us. So I'm going to be spending the next bunch of hours just thinking about strategies. It's fun, man.
Yeah. Be working the phones, trying to see if I can make a deal happen.
The phones. That's
awesome.